My wife hid a secret for 10 years. She let me raise a child that was never mine. And the worst part? She would have kept lying if I didn't catch her by accident. I'm 33, married 10 years. We have a 10-year-old son. Or that's what I believed until 2 months ago. This isn't something you ever expect to say out loud, let alone post for strangers to read, but I need to get it out. I raised him like any father would. I was there from day one. Diaper changes, sleepless nights, ER visits, school pickups, birthday parties. I built his first bike. I taught him how to swim. I stayed up late helping him build a solar system model from foam balls and toothpicks because he forgot it was due the next morning. I never doubted he was mine, not once. People would joke, sure. He's all his mom. Doesn't look like you at all, stuff like that. But that's just small talk. Genetics are weird. You don't question it when the bond is real. And mine with him? It was. That's why what happened next hit me like a brick. 3 months ago, I was updating our life insurance policy. Nothing dramatic, just paperwork. They asked for blood types. Mine is O+, my wife is A+. I filled in our son's as B+, because that's what I remembered from when he was born. And then I paused. O+ and A+ don't make B+. I'm not a doctor, but I'm also not stupid. I looked it up, confirmed it multiple times. Then I sat there, staring at the screen like it would change. That was the moment the first real doubt crept in. Not panic, not accusation, just cold, quiet logic. So I waited. I didn't ask her anything, didn't make a scene. I ordered a paternity test online, took a sample from my son's toothbrush, swabbed myself, sent it in, waited. Part of me still thought it'd be fine, that I was overreacting. When the results came back, I opened them alone in my car. Probability of paternity, 0.00%. I didn't rage, I didn't cry. I just sat there, still, for a long time. Then I went home and acted like everything was normal. We had dinner, we watched a show, I tucked my son into bed. And the next morning I confronted my wife. I printed the results, put them on the table, sat across from her and said, "Is there something I need to know?" She didn't even deny it. She didn't ask where I got the test, she just stared at the paper. Then she said, "I thought it didn't matter." I asked her whose kid he is. She said she doesn't know, that she got pregnant just before things got serious between us, that she was scared, that she didn't want to lose me. So she stayed silent. She let me raise a child that wasn't mine. Let me believe the biggest lie someone can live with for 10 years. I haven't told my son. I don't plan to. Not now. He's still my boy. Still hugs me after school. Still calls me dad. Still smiles when I walk into the room. None of this is his fault. But I haven't touched my wife since that day. I don't know if I'm staying. I don't know if I'm leaving. I don't know anything right now, except this. She took away my right to choose the truth, and that's what I can't forgive. After the morning, after she admitted the truth without a fight, something in the house broke. Not physically, just the atmosphere. The tension wasn't loud, it was suffocatingly quiet. She didn't cry, I didn't yell. We just kept going through the motions like two co-workers pretending not to hate each other. We made breakfast for our son, helped with his homework, talked about groceries, his school project, dentist appointments, but everything was mechanical. I didn't move out, not right away. I couldn't, not because of her, because of him. He still called me Dad, still asked me to play Mario Kart with him after dinner, still ran to the door when I got home from work like nothing had changed, because nothing had changed for him. And that's the hardest part. When you get cheated on, you walk away with pain, but at least the bond ends. But this was betrayal with collateral damage. I didn't want him to feel it. So I smiled. I showed up. And every minute of it was like swallowing glass. She didn't try to defend herself after that day. Didn't try to spin it. Didn't try to say I was overreacting. She just existed. Like she was waiting for something. Maybe for me to decide. Maybe for this to pass. Sometimes I'd catch her watching me when I wasn't looking. Not with guilt, with fear. She knew I hadn't made my move yet. And maybe that scared her more than yelling ever could. We stopped touching. No hugs, no kisses, not even brushing hands in the hallway. I slept next to her for 2 weeks without speaking more than a few sentences a day. Not out of punishment, out of numbness. What do you say to someone who made you live a lie for a decade? I wanted to ask her 1,000 things. Who was he? Did she ever love me? Did she ever plan to tell me if I hadn't found out? But the answers wouldn't change the truth. And honestly, I was afraid to hear her say something I couldn't unhear. She tried once. I think it was day 11 after I confronted her. She asked if I wanted to talk. I said, "Do you think there's anything you could say right now that would make this better?" She didn't respond, just went into the other room. I think that was the first night she cried. But even through all that, I never stopped showing up for my son. He's the only reason I didn't walk out the day the DNA test came in, because I might not be his biological father, but I'm the only father he's ever known, and I'll be damned if I let her mistake destroy him too. A month passed. On the surface, everything looked the same. Our morning routine stayed untouched. Cereal, backpack check, me calling out the time while he tied his shoes too slow like always. He'd shout, "Love ya, Dad," before running out the door. And I'd say it back, because I do love him. Because those words are automatic after 10 years. Because I can't unlove a kid just because of DNA. But I'd be lying if I said it didn't feel different now. I found myself watching him more. Not in a bad way, just noticing things. His expressions, how he holds a pen, how he laughs. Trying to figure out which parts were me and which weren't. There weren't many of me, honestly. But that's not his fault. It's not anyone's fault. It just made the distance between us feel suddenly sharply visible, like a crack in a windshield you didn't see until the sunlight hit it just right. I didn't treat him differently. I made damn sure of that. But I felt different. Like I was walking through my own life, but none of it belonged to me. I'd go to work, zone out halfway through meetings, then come home to a house that felt like someone else's. I was there, but I wasn't in it. And my wife? She was moving through the same fog. She stopped trying to talk, stopped making excuses, started giving me space, which ironically made everything worse, because it meant she'd accepted it too. Accepted that this silence between us was real, that maybe we weren't coming back from it. At night, I'd lie in bed and stare at the ceiling, and I'd ask myself the same questions over and over. Would I have ever found out if I didn't update that insurance form? Did she ever think about what it would do to me, to us, if the truth came out? Did she really believe it didn't matter? Because it does matter. It's not just about biology. It's about trust, about having the right to make decisions based on the truth. She made the biggest choice of our lives without me, and now I have to live with it like it's just another bump in the road. The worst part? I don't hate her. I should. Everyone says I should. But all I feel is this cold, dull ache, like grieving someone who's still alive and sleeping in the next room. And I don't know how much longer I can live like that. I told her we were going to talk, not fight, just talk. What she said still echoes in my head. It was a Tuesday night. Nothing special happened that day. No arguments, no trigger. Just me sitting in the kitchen, staring at a half-eaten dinner, realizing I couldn't keep doing this without at least understanding why. So I waited until our son was asleep. Waited until the dishes were done and the silence felt like it was closing in. Then I walked into the living room where she was scrolling her phone and said, "We need to talk, for real this time." She nodded without saying anything. She sat upright, hands in her lap, like she'd been waiting for this too. I told her I wasn't here to scream. I didn't want drama, I just needed answers. Because if I was going to keep waking up next to someone I couldn't trust, I needed to know what I was even trying to protect. And for the first time in over a month, she talked. Really talked. She told me she was seeing someone casually before me. Nothing serious. They weren't in a relationship. She called it messy, brief, and stupid. They slept together twice. Then she met me. She said by the time she realized she was pregnant, she was already with me. And it felt easier, safer, to believe it was mine. So she convinced herself it was. And then, when he was born and didn't look like me, she panicked. But the panic passed. I was a good dad, a great dad, she said. So she let it go, or tried to. She looked me in the eye and said, "You've been more of a father than that guy ever could be. That's the truth I chose to live in." I just stared at her. "That's not your choice to make," I said. And she nodded. No excuses, no defense, just quiet acceptance. Like she finally saw it from my side, 10 years too late. She told me she was sorry, genuinely sorry, that she never meant to hurt me, and that every day she saw me with our son, she felt guilty. But the guilt never outweighed the love, and maybe that's the part that hurt the most. Because I believed her. I believed she loved me. I believed she loved our son. I even believed she thought she was doing the right thing. But love isn't just about feelings, it's about decisions. And she made the biggest one of our lives for me. I told her I didn't know if I could forgive her, that I didn't even know what forgiveness would look like. I said I'd stay, for now, but not for her, for him. She nodded again, no crying, no begging, just two people sitting in the aftermath of a choice they never made together. The days that followed were strange. There wasn't a huge change, no drama, no sudden shift. But I could tell she was trying. She started talking more at dinner, tried to ask about my day, touched my shoulder when walking past me in the hallway, made my coffee the way I like it, 2 sugars, splash of milk, nothing fancy, little things. All things she used to do before. But that was the problem. I wasn't before anymore. When you break a plate, you can glue it back together, sure, but it doesn't stop being broken. You just learn to live with the cracks. And I could see every single one of them. Every time she smiled at me, I saw the envelope with the test results. Every time she spoke gently, I heard, I thought it didn't matter. Every time she hugged our son, I wondered if she ever worried the truth would come out. It wasn't that I didn't love her anymore, it's that I didn't know what version of her I'd loved in the first place. 2 weeks after our talk, she asked if we could go to counseling. I said maybe. She asked if I'd consider taking a trip together, just the two of us, to reconnect. I told her I couldn't pretend everything was fine in a hotel bed somewhere far from the reality we'd built. She looked hurt, but she didn't argue. One night, she asked me point blank, "Do you still see a future with me?" I didn't answer right away. Because how do you say, "I don't know," to the person you built your whole life with? How do you explain that you still feel like a dad every time your son calls your name, but feel like a stranger in your own marriage? I told her the truth. Right now I'm still showing up, but I'm not rebuilding anything yet. I don't trust the ground. She cried that night. First time since the day I confronted her. I didn't comfort her, not because I wanted to be cruel, because I didn't have it in me to be gentle anymore. I don't think she realized how long betrayal lingers in the small moments, how even the sound of her phone buzzing late at night makes me glance sideways now, how I overthink silence, how I rehearse what I'd say to our son if he ever finds out, and he might. One day, maybe in school, maybe from a DNA test of his own curiosity, he might learn the truth, and I'll have to stand there, explain how I knew for years, and chose to stay anyway. Not because I forgave her, but because I couldn't unlove him. About 2 months after I found out, she sat me down in the kitchen. No let up, no small talk. Just quiet, almost whispered, "I've been thinking, maybe we should try for another baby." I stared at her, not angrily, not even confused, just stunned. She looked nervous, kept her eyes down, said she felt we needed something new, a fresh start. Something that was ours. Said she wanted to heal, and maybe creating something together would help rebuild what she broke. She used the word ours like it would undo everything. I told her no, firmly, clearly, without rage, but without room for misinterpretation. Not because I didn't want more kids, but because you don't fix a cracked foundation by adding weight on top of it. And to be honest, I couldn't imagine holding a newborn in my arms without thinking about the 10 years I spent raising one that wasn't mine, and didn't know it. I could barely make it through dinner without feeling like an actor in my own house. What made her think I was ready to start again? She got quiet after that, for days. No questions, no reaching out, just a heavy silence, like she knew she overstepped and now she didn't know how to pull back. And during those days, I started planning, not an exit, a timeline. I began writing everything down, financial accounts, legal steps, therapy options, for me and eventually for my son, because this will affect him no matter how carefully I play it. I started imagining weekends instead of full weeks, started picturing a guest bedroom, not a shared bed. One night, I sat outside on our porch. Caleb had gone to bed. She was in the shower, and I thought, this house is still full, but I've never felt more alone. Because the thing no one tells you about betrayal is that it doesn't scream. It whispers, constantly, in every pause, every smile that feels forced, every memory that now has a question mark on top of it. And after a while, those whispers start replacing your thoughts. I still didn't have an answer. Stay? Go? All I knew was I was no longer fighting to save the marriage. I was fighting to protect the only bond that still felt real, the one with my son. Even if he's not mine on paper, he's mine in every way that matters. And I wasn't about to let her decision, her lie, cost him both parents. Not yet. I didn't leave in the middle of the night. I didn't throw her clothes on the lawn. I didn't sit our son down and drop the truth on him like a bomb. Because this story doesn't end like a movie. There's no dramatic exit, no heroic walk away, just life. Messy, slow, and real. I stayed for another 6 months, not for her, for him. To give myself time, to give him stability, to make sure that whatever came next wouldn't tear his world in half. And during that time I grieved, not just the marriage, I grieved the life I thought I had, the photos I used to smile at, the bedtime routines that now felt like borrowed time. But every time he looked at me with those big, trusting eyes and said, "Night, Dad," something in me held together, because he didn't lie to me. He didn't choose this. And if I walked out without a plan, I'd be punishing the only innocent person in all this. Eventually, I moved out. Got a place 15 minutes away. Small, quiet, feels like mine. We set up shared custody, even though technically I don't have legal rights. She agreed to everything, maybe out of guilt, maybe because deep down, she knows I'm his father in every way that counts. And I show up, always. School pickups, soccer games, movie nights on the couch. When he scrapes his knee, it's me he runs to. When he's proud of a grade, it's me he wants to show. He doesn't know, and maybe he won't for a long time. But I do, and I still choose him. Every single day. As for her, we're civil, cordial even, but whatever we had is gone. Trust doesn't grow back on scorched earth. And while part of me still wonders how she could live with a lie for so long, another part just lets it be. Because I have bigger things to focus on. So here I am, a father to a boy who doesn't share my blood, but shares my habits, my stories, my stubbornness, my love, and honestly, that's more than most biological dads can say. Thanks for listening. Sometimes just getting it out is enough, and sometimes it's all you've got, but it's also a start.